The Peter Francisco Soil and Water Conservation District orchestrated a farm tour on Rock Mill Farms Incorporated, a Holstein dairy operation in Buckingham County, Virginia. This tour, like many that the Peter Francisco District and other soil and water conservation districts conduct, serves to educate agriculture producers about best management practices that have been installed or are currently under construction on the farm through available cost-share programs.
Welcome to Rock Mill Farm. Owner and operator Steve Rainey. Thank you all for coming out.
It's a changing world. Everything, every look like 20, 30 years, this new technology comes out and you have to get on board with, all of that. Check it out anyway. And it's really improved our farming practices.
Back when my father was a young man in the late 30s, early 40s, this area through here, if you made 30 bushels of corn an acre, you had a bumper crop. Today, but the best we can do on this farm is about 180 to maybe 200 bushels. If we couldn't take advantage of either manure that we have stored here, or maybe tap into a source of poultry litter, which is another service that DCR has in the past, the poultry litter transfer program, which we've used. If you got soil that's low in phosphorus, especially low in phosphorus, there are incentives to move chicken litter from areas that are high in phosphorus, where the chickens have been for a long time and the farmers have been applying it, and move it into areas or fields that are low in phosphorus. And that way you utilize the phosphorus and you don't oversaturate the soil and lose it into the waterways.
Many best management practices have been installed on Rock Mill Farms and Forkland Farms. These practices were incorporated through the cost-share programs offered under the Natural Resource Conservation Service, Farm Service Agency, and the Peter Francisco Soil and Water Conservation District. The programs utilized were the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, the Willis River TMDL Program, the Virginia Best Management Practices Program, and the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. These programs provided the following conservation practices: stream exclusion fencing, cross fencing for rotational grazing, water troughs with well and pipelines, trees planted in the buffer zones, liquid manure storage pit, a loose housing facility, a dry manure storage shed, cover crop practices to control erosion on crop fields.
The practices that we've been putting in is, I guess the first one we did here was the storage pit, which we call the lagoon over on the dairy side. It's been a real help to us. It holds about 4 to 6 months of our waste, and then we're being able to pump that to the fields at a timely manner just before we plant.
We got cost share from to put the lagoon in 20-some years ago. Also, we cost shared on the lagoon pump in one big spreader. But this is fed underground. We never break the crust.
All our buildings inside the buildings channel to the lagoon. Every bit that you see from the cows, the waste from the cows, is totally confined, and it runs into a pit which goes into the lagoon.
We can spread almost when we want, instead of having to spread every day, 7 days a week. Sometimes take half a day. Wintertime, take all day. Just haul the manure. Now we scrape it off in reception pit, and it's a gravity flow system, and basically it vanishes like magic. And we just pumped it out the other day, and we put about 6,000 gallons to the acre. It's all nutrient management plan. We know what the crop needs. We know what we need to replace it with.
This is a manure storage for this area where the concrete comes, where the cows stand on to eat, and we can just scrape it in this building and store it for 4 to 6 months. And this is all the droppings from the cows while they're eating. Behind you here is our cover crops that we've been putting in, planting for a number of years. You can see the wheat and vetch out there now. We have really been experimenting with a lot of the radishes that we've been planting in the fall. They die during the winter. They can't make it to spring. They'll grow to about maybe middle of December, 1st of January. When the hard freezes come, it pretty much wipes them out. But by then, they've gotten up to about this tall in good years, and they most of the time they'll put a hole in the ground about that big, and that rots and lets the water go down, and you know that channel. The earthworms just absolutely love them. They just thrive on them.
We put in a couple of loafing lots. There's actually about 5 or 6 of them here. These are 2 of the smaller ones. We rotate this group of cows back and forth between the 2 areas, really between 3 areas. And they can't wait to get off concrete to just get out here and lay out and lounge on that grass. And it keeps them really nice and clean, which makes milking them a whole lot better experience.
The rotation, we do it to keep the grass from getting overgrazed, and then get rains, and the mud will come up, kill the grass, because cows love to congregate in one field. They have a special field that you just love to get in. So we put the cross fencing in, and that eliminates that. We can just steady moving around. The building goes up for the sacrifice lot that the cows can go into in bad weather and keep from ruining our grass. It just really improves the stand. As you can see in the pastures, they have really improved over the years since the barn has been up.
In the background, the barn over there that we put up this past year under the equip, it's about, I think it's 40 foot wide and about 120 foot long. We have keep between 80 and 90 young animals in it. That has worked extremely well. They grow out good, their health is good, there's no mud. We use it, takes a minimum amount of bedding. The air that passes through, it keeps it bedding dry. They have lockups, which makes it easier to handle the heifers, to vaccinate, dehorn, anything that needs to be done to them. These practices that you pick up through Peter Francisco Soil and Water, and with David Harris at NRCS through the EQIP program, all of it's beneficial to the farmer and to our neighbors and to whoever is downstream from us.
The district and the NRCS staff assist producers with every step to ensure that they feel comfortable with the agricultural cost share programs. The first step in the program is to arrange an on-site meeting between the producer, the district, and the NRCS staff. This meeting is designed for the conservation planners to view the farm, grasp the understanding of the current operations, determine the future goals of the producer, and discuss program eligibility and details. If the producer is eligible and interested in applying for any conservation programs, then the district and the NRCS staff can create a conservation plan for the operation. They can provide a conservation plan with several design option layouts and cost estimates provided through a current itemized value of products such as fencing, pipeline, water troughs, and wells. Once the producer agrees to a specific plan, they enter into a contract agreement with the district or the NRCS and are given a timeline of a year to complete the installation of the practices. The producer is responsible for all costs accrued during the installation of the practices. Farmers pay all associated costs up front and are reimbursed at the end of the project. Once the practices have been completed and approved by the district and the NRCS staff, the producer will receive their pre-approved cost share reimbursement payment. The Virginia Agricultural Cost Share Program typically offers a cost share rate of 75% of the total cost and a 25% tax credit on any out-of-pocket expenses. Although some select areas offer up to 100% cost share reimbursement for specific programs and properties located within designated watersheds. Districts can provide producers with a list of local vendors and contractors who are familiar with program requirements and standards. From the first day of sign-up to the final practice implementation, District and NRCS staff will guide the producer through the conservation planning process. This video was made possible through the funding from James River Association and Altria. For more information on Virginia's agricultural cost share programs, please contact your local soil and water conservation districts.